Hello, everyone. Welcome to the pilot episode of The Wrap-Up. This is a sports show. We talk Detroit sports, college sports, Michigan State. Sports talk. We have Dan Myers here. He's a sports blogger for the Detroit area. Dan, thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having you. Appreciate it.
We have a lot to cover today. The Red Wings are in the playoffs for the 24th consecutive season. The Tigers just opened up a season, and we're going to start there. Opening day was last Monday. It was crazy. The pitching staff was incredible for the first series. Let's talk about that.
It was. I was very surprised. Well, I wasn't too surprised. I was excited to see that they went with somebody different. They didn't want to play favorites, so they went with Price, and I thought he showed up. He was tremendous. He was calm, poised, and very impressive.
Through his first two starts, he has yet to allow an earned run. First game, 4-0 win on opening day in front of the sellout crowd, the fifth largest crowd in Comerica Park history on opening day. Maybe a little bit cold, but the Tiger Bats, they sure are hot right now.
They're very hot, and that's something for Tiger fans to be very excited about. It's sort of a disappointment how we went out last year with the injuries, but it's very exciting to be a Tigers fan right now.
It very much is. Then they moved on to Cleveland. A lot of people picked Cleveland to be a favorite in the American League Central Division. They came out hot again. Cabrera had a few home runs in the series. As a matter of fact,
It's incredible.
He's second in the Major League Baseball right now in home runs. J.D. Martinez. A lot of people weren't sure what he would do this year. He leads the American League.
Yes, very impressive. Yeah, it's good to see old Miggy back. Yeah, we're only a couple games in, but you know, that's what we're paying him, and he's impressing us. He's impressing me. I'm very excited.
He probably wants to talk to those people, maybe not directly, but in general, just kind of show them without saying, hey, a lot of people said trade him. You know, he's washed up. Maybe he only has a couple more good years left in him. And he comes out. He's hitting .520 right now. It's second in the majors behind Jose Iglesias. Comes off the shin splints, misses all of 2014. He's got a great glove, and he's just making solid contact right now, leading the majors in batting average.
Yes, and I think I was a little worried during spring training. When he first came back, they were worried about him sliding the bases and running, and that scared me because when you hear that they're so worried about him getting hurt again so early, why play him? But he looks healthy. He looks ready. He's fooling around the clubhouse. He's posting funny pictures with the team on social media. So he seems like he's back and he's ready to go.
So we're going to get right to it. We're going to start on opening day. Highlights for you there. David Price gets the win on opening day. 4-0 shutout, like we said earlier. The Detroit Tigers, they set an American League record, 25 scoreless innings to start the season. It's really incredible. A lot of people weren't so sure that the pitching staff was going to be this good. Mind you, they did play the Minnesota Twins, who didn't score their first run until the third game of the year in a 7-1 win. Shane Green was on the mound for that game. We got him in a trade from the Yankees this year. He pitched lights out, didn't allow an earned run. Tiger Bats again, 7 runs. They're averaging over 6 runs a game right now, and that's tops in the majors.
Yeah, I got to give a big thumbs up to Brad Ausmus for keeping the guys going. They didn't sit back. They kept going. They were strong. Yeah, there was a couple shaky plays, but you know, for the most part, they kept you optimistic and they kept going. They kept swinging, and there was a surprise every time someone was up to bat. It was great.
Right, and what I like what Brad Ausmus brings to the table as manager, he's young. He's a few years removed from playing in the major leagues. He was a catcher. He played for the Tigers for a short time. Houston Astros is where he was most famous, if you will. But what he does is he doesn't rest guys as much as maybe like a guy like Jim Leyland would do, even early in the year. Alex Avila, he's played in 5 of the 6 games through the first week of the season at least. And home run on opening day, opposite field, that's where his power comes. 2 hits to the opposite field. Avila, to me, he has one of the most pretty swings from the left side when he makes contact, because we all know last year was a really rough year for him. He got banged up. Injuries, concussions, he missed some time. But one of the best defensive catchers in the American League. Hopefully he can right the ship offensively and do what he did a couple years ago. If he hits 260, I think most of Detroit would be very proud. And you know he's bringing a good arm behind the plate.
Yes, he is. And he's a strong, mentally strong young kid. Yes, Alex Avila will do stuff. And if it's good, you won't hear about it. It's almost to be expected. And if it's bad, he's going to hear it 6 times. And he just kept his head up. It's like he just phased him out and he kept going, and that's very impressive with a young guy like that.
Maybe that's why he has that new helmet to block out some of the criticism.
Hopefully, that could be it. That could be it.
Right.
Rawling could be do something different with their helmets over there.
Well, Sunday's game in Cleveland, I really want to touch on that game. Kyle Laubstein got the start in place of the injured Justin Verlander. He went 5 innings. He did pick up the win. Maybe didn't look as sharp as he would have liked to. Supporting the goggles yesterday.
Yes.
The old Eric Gagne style goggles. He lasts 5 innings, though, gets the win. Soria picks up a big save, which was good to see, a good clean inning for Joakim Soria. Now in the closer's role after the injury to Joe Nathan. But what I like is they jumped out to a 6-1 lead early. Miguel Cabrera picked up 2 home runs in the first 4 innings of the game. J.D. Martinez picked up 1 in the 9th for a little insurance. This offense, they keep going. Saturday, they knocked around Corey Kluber, the American League Cy Young Award winner of the previous season. I don't know. It's early. If you would ask me before the year started how the Detroit Tigers would do, maybe put them second in the division. I really liked what the Chicago White Sox had done in the offseason. And the Tigers' bullpen still scares me. I know, through the first week of the year they were undefeated. They played Minnesota Twins, which, let's be honest, my high school team is probably putting up a good fight to the Minnesota Twins. But they are professional hitters. The bullpen still scares me. Injuries to Bruce Rondon. He's becoming, maybe is he made of glass? I'm not sure. He's always hurt. Albuquerque struggled to find the strike zone. But when he's on. He's got one of the best sliders in the game. Joe Nathan, when he comes back with his injury, his flexor, grade 1 flexor strain, I believe it is. He's a question mark at the back end. Sure, he was great a couple years ago. Last year was a really down year for him. I think his ERA was over 5.5 last year. Soria wasn't all that good once we got him, but I really like Joakim Soria. Keep him in that closer spot. Brought Jabba Chamberlain back. He's a question mark. There's a lot of question marks.
There are a lot of question marks, and it is also very early in the season. But it's exciting to be a Tigers fan. I'm telling you, I'm glad I'm a Tigers fan and not a Cleveland Indians fan right now, because that's not a good start. But yes, it is early. And, there is a lot of promise being shown here, though. And that's what's encouraging about this Tigers team. The hitters are doing great. Like you said, though, the pitchers, there's some injuries that we have to be worried about. And, we probably won't be thinking about that for a while. Hopefully they can stay healthy. And that's the key. I know it's very cliche to say. You got to stay healthy, to have a good, successful team. But then again, we've got a young manager and Brad Ausmus, and he's a guy that's young and he's a little more brave. Maybe he's going to take some chances. Maybe he's going to get on some guys, unlike Jim Leland, and that's good. I think he'll have to get on some guys, especially if they're slacking, and just be real with them. If you're hurt, tell me. If you're not, you're going out there. So hopefully they can just stay healthy, stay clean, stay out of trouble, and I think we're in for a great Tigers season. One
thing I want to touch before we get to the next topic is Brian Holiday not making the roster. Backup catcher who was very serviceable last year. For the Tigers, I believe he hit around 260 or so. He had a little bit of pop in his bat. Pretty solid defensive catcher. But James McCann, the rookie, making the team. And so far, so good for him. He looks, sound at the plate. He's already thrown a few guys out in the first week of the season. Talk about that.
Yeah, I think it was a little scary, seeing that with them not bringing him on. But he's got a solid arm, and he can definitely. It's nice to see, the runners being nervous as far as that arm. I mean, you hit it out to the outfield, they're going to think about running, stealing that extra base because we got that solid arm in them. So it's that's nice to see. It's something a little new that we are familiar with a while back, and then we traded a couple guys, but they got that solid arm in the outfield also, so It's nice.
Right. Quick little prediction for you. How do you have the Tigers doing this year?
I have them.
Are they going to win for the 5th straight year, the American League Central?
Yeah, Nick, it's still too early for that. I do. Let's just say it now. Yeah, let's do it. Throw all our cards in and say yeah.
If you would have asked me last week, I might have said no. Right now, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. The Tigers are going to win the American League Central. Their offense is too good right now. They can just outslug any, question mark they might have in the bullpen, or any, if Verlander comes back and he's not doing that well, he should be back within the next week or so with the tricep injury. Maybe if there's a rough patch for Alfredo Simon, who we picked up from the Reds, Lobstein as he keeps starting. The offense is potent right now. Sure, they're not going to continue to hit 500, but as a team, they're hitting 355. Their offense is too good. I got them winning the Central. Then in the postseason, you need to have a good bullpen. Ask me again in a month, and I'll give you an update.
That's a month-by-month thing. You said that's like a teeter-totter. It goes up and down.
If they struggle next week, I might say they're going to lose the rest of their games. The Twins are going to win the division behind Torrey Hunter. Exciting. Detroit Red Wings hockey, 24th consecutive year.
24.
Making the postseason, the longest active streak in the 4 major sports. Hockey, right up my alley. I'm excited. Let's occupy Hockey Town. Let's start now. They start the postseason coming up here.
Thursday, April 16th.
April 16th.
7:30.
In Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, the 2nd seed in the Atlantic Division. The Detroit Hockey Red Wings.
Yes.
3rd. Babcock, the sole reason they're there. He's
Absolutely.
an incredible coach. Never gets enough credit. I think he should be a finalist for the Jack Adams every single year. That's the award for the best coach in the National Hockey League. But before we talk playoffs, let's talk about the last week of the year, how they got there. They had to win. They had to get 5 of a possible 6 points to really solidify the 3rd seed in the Atlantic Division. They started on the 7th, Tuesday night at home, Joe Louis Arena, playing the Carolina Hurricanes, who they were just playing spoiler, or at least trying. 2 of the final 3 games were against the Hurricanes. Khudobin in at the backup for him on Tuesday night. Fan appreciation night at Joe Louis Arena. Red Wings skate to a 3-2 win. Really exciting. The crowd was into it. And the Red Wings did have a chance to clinch the playoffs. They needed some help from the Pittsburgh Penguins, who blew a 3-0 lead. The crowd at the end of the game, when Sweet Caroline was playing, Journey, South Detroit, the crowd was stoked. They were expecting playoffs that night. Didn't quite get it.
Didn't quite get it, but that's hockey for you. You can only do what you can do on the ice. You can't rely on other teams. The hockey gods, they smile on you sometimes they don't. But that's the NHL. That happens. It's a young team. They're very young. They're tired. I can see it. They're frustrated with this goalie controversy, which honestly I really would just go away, along with the talks of Mike Babcock's future. Where's he going to go? He's staying here. And just let it be. That should not be the focus of this group. Should be these young guys, 24 straight years. That's it.
So they didn't quite clinch on Tuesday night. So guess what? They had another chance on Thursday in Montreal, where they have not won in a while. Last year was the last time they won there. They hadn't beaten them all year. They were 0-2-1 going into the night. And they came out gunning. A quick goal from Tomas Tatar. Pavel Datsyuk picking the pocket of the defender, sliding it over to Tatar for the one-timer. But anytime you're playing Carey Price, it's tough to get a win. They do salvage a point. They win it in overtime. And they got what they needed. Boston lost to Florida, and the Detroit Red Wings clinched for the 24th consecutive season.
That was great, yeah, especially these overtime wins. And the shootouts, too. As a Detroit fan, you're always nervous, especially this past season with the shootouts. But I really think Jimmy Howard got that ghost off his back, that demon. It was bugging him for a while. And he's starting to feel, you can see that confidence coming in. I don't think it's 100% yet, but I really think that he's going to turn it around. He has to. Whether you're a quarterback in Detroit, you're a goalie in Detroit, you are always under the microscope. And it's not his stats from last year. As you know, it's what have you done for me lately? Jimmy, just wipe it off, block out the haterade, don't drink it, and just stay focused on what you need to do one game at a time. Cliche again, I'm sorry, but it's really what he needs to do.
Saturday, April 11th, the series season finale, if you will, against the Carolina Hurricanes. They rested Pavel Datsyuk. They rested Henrik Zetterberg. Datsyuk really needed the rest. He was injured, and he's off till Thursday now with the playoffs. They also rested Nicholas Kronwall. And really the interesting one to me was Brendan Smith. Not rested. Healthy scratch. Babcock said It's what you do on and off the ice. It's an image of who you are. Carry that around. So he goes. They call up Alexei Marchenko, the Russian defenseman, from the Grand Rapids Griffins, and he had a monster game. And rumor has it he's going with them Thursday for the playoffs. Look for Brendan Smith to be a healthy scratch.
Yeah, Mike Babcock's not going to take poor performance, and I don't know how you are, but I find myself screaming at Brendan Smith at the TV more often than not. So Mike did what he had to do. He's not afraid to. You got to admire that about him. You know, he knows his guys.
He did say after the penalty, and I don't know if you saw it, Thursday night in Montreal, the Red Wings are already on a 5-on-4 disadvantage.
Yes.
Puck goes out around the bench area. Brendan Smith reaches out, touches the puck while it's in play. Delay a game penalty.
He was still happy
Riley
about that
Shane
Tigers
had to
opener.
serve it. Yeah, he felt like Yoenis Cespedes diving for a ball.
Exactly.
And ends up costing them the goal. The Red Wings were up 3-2 at that point. And I believe Thomas Plekanec scored for Montreal to tie the game at 3. And then you saw what happened in overtime. The Red Wings lose on a questionable call Jimmy Howard may have had. But Peter Mrazek again, 35-save shutout in the season finale. First career goal for Landon Ferraro. Good for him on a wraparound 58 seconds in. That was nice. Joachim Anderson adds an empty netter. 100 points. That's a huge milestone for this team, who Babcock said if you'd have asked him on July 1st, he would have said, I don't think this is a playoff team. Young kids battled. Nyquist, Tatar, Datsuk, Abdelkader all had 20 goals this year. Tatar almost had 30, as did Nyquist. Big, good play from Danny DeKeyser, who I thought has been the Wings' best defenseman all season. 29 assists, 31 points. He was, I believe he was the second highest in plus minus. It's just, it's really good. It's really good young performance that we're seeing. And now the playoffs are upon us.
Yes, and that's huge. And Danny DeKeyser, I love that kid. He's great. He's got size. He's intimidating. Yeah, he needs to hit a little more, but you know, he's a big guy. He's good to have on the ice, along with Justin Abdelkader. He's not the biggest guy, but he will go after you if you're going to mess with our stars, and that's good. We need that. As a Detroit fan, a Red Wings fan, you're not used to seeing that. Yeah, we have a couple muck and grinders, but we need guys to stick up. It's so frustrating every year seeing our guys getting pushed around. So when we have guys like Abs and DeKeyser, sticking up for it, that's huge. And on top of that, they're making plays. Yeah, we've had some grinders before, and they did make some plays. But look at Abdelkader; he's doing a phenomenal job, and he's one of those guys that he'll start swinging if he has to, or he'll put the puck in the net. He'll do both on one night. You know,
he reminds me a lot of a Thomas Holmstrom with more skill.
Yes,
he stands in front of the net on the power play. He's gotten over 20 goals this year. He's 23 goals, 21 assists, 44 points. He's playing a +3. He's in front of the net in the power play. Right now battling the injury, the hand. Looks like he should be good to play for the playoffs, but we'll see. He's a good guy to have. I'm going to go back to the goalie situation real fast. Yep. Jimmy Howard, I really liked what I saw from him in the Minnesota game a couple weeks back in that shootout. It went 8 rounds, I believe, before Darren Helm ended it. Jimmy Howard looked really good. He allowed 2 goals, I believe, in that shootout, but he made 6 big saves when really no one really thought Jimmy Howard was a shootout goalie or a starting goalie for that matter. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely, and I think that was one of those key games where he got that demon off his back. You could see as soon as they won that game, there was just this weight was lifted off of Jimmy, and that was great to see. He's still a young guy. He's still young in the league, and it can take a while. I mean, let's go back to Chris Osgood when he put 96. He put the puck in the net against the. I was at that game. Believe me, that's when I started learning my first swear words because all those fans out there. But it was. Look, he turned around. Ozzy was still young. Turned it around, and I think Jimmy Howard's sort of reflecting that. I think Ozzy sees a lot of himself in Jimmy. He gets a bad rap, but Ozzy he had that thick skin. He prevailed. He came back, won some cups. Hopefully, we can do the same with Jimmy. Yeah,
One part that sticks out for me about Chris Osgood, I don't know if you're familiar with the Stanley Cup videos that recap each season.
Very much so, yes.
I could quote those all day, and I'm going to right now. 1998, Chris Osgood takes over for Mike Vernon, and he got lit up for 5 goals against St. Louis at the end of the season. And a guy screams, he's sitting right behind the net. He screams through, he goes, "Ozzy, you got the heart of a lion, baby." And that was one thing. After that, Ozzie just rose to the occasion, let him do a sweep over Washington. And now he's working for Fox Sports Detroit. Started off slow, but he's really grown into his own, if you will. A lot of people were giving him some flack about, looking into the camera too hard or not speaking so well. But I enjoy Ozzie on there, and he's doing good. And I've worked quite a few games down at the Joe this year for the Red Wings. And one thing I noticed when either Mrazek or Howard or Gustafsson, they're letting up goals, I hear fans saying, bring Ozzie down from the press box. He can't be any worse than this. And I don't know if you saw him in that alumni game last year, but I think we're good with what we got.
He's like, oh, about time they start calling back for me. I was getting hated for a while, but yeah, no, it's a tough job to do. I was really impressed. It's pretty nerve-wracking being in front of that camera sometimes, and especially when you really can't see yourself. But hey, it's like his goalie career. It started off a little slow, but he's getting better. By this time,
Right.
Next year he'll be hoisting the cup. All right.
Let's hope he's doing it wearing his suit and tie with Fox Sports Detroit in June for the Red Wings. Playoff preview. How are the Wings going to do? Tampa Bay to start. What do you think?
Do you really want my opinion?
I want your honest opinion.
I've been a Red Wings fan my whole life.
I don't like where this is starting.
We have a great young team, whether it's in Detroit or down in Grand Rapids, and they have a lot of potential. With that being said, they're young, and yes, they've been in the playoffs. These young guys have, they're familiar with the playoffs, but this Tampa Bay team is just incredible. They snatched a lot of guys from New York. They took Val Filppula from us. He wasn't really blending with our game, but he's doing great over there. To sum it up, I want to say it's going to be a good fight. We'll see potential. I really think it'll help make our goalie situation for next year, and I think it'll be character building for the Wings. But I feel that it's going to be Tampa in 6.
I filled out my bracket on NHL.com, and maybe I'm biased. Yeah, actually 100% I'm biased. But playoffs are a new season. Teams come to play. Sure, the Red Wings, I think their young guys got a lot of good experience last year in the hard battle, but came up short against Boston. I got them in 6. I got the Wings in 6.
I hope you're right. I realize this is one of those things I hope I'm wrong with.
Capture game 1. I just like the way they ended the season. A lot of people don't, but they really struggled in the month of March and the beginning of April. They played good in April, though. Maybe the record's not there. They played really good. They're scoring goals, and that's some things good teams like Montreal aren't doing. They're not scoring goals, but when you have Carey Price, if you really need to score goals, he's keeping you score 1 and you're good. But I have Detroit winning in 6 and Ottawa sneaking into the playoffs.
Ottawa, wow.
22-3-3 to end the year with the Hamburglar, Andrew Hammond between the pipes. He's a rookie. He's 21-1 to start his NHL career. They throw burgers on the ice when this guy wins games in Ottawa. They're playing Montreal, and I got him winning that one in 7 games.
Yeah, this is gonna be a very exciting playoff series. The LA Kings are out. Who would have thought it?
Boston Bruins are out.
Boston Bruins are out. It's going to be very interesting. I think this is going to be a year for young stars to shine in the postseason. There's a lot of names that are going to start coming up, and will solidify their top performances in the
John
NHL.
Tavares.
Tavares,
Could
yes.
Is it going to be time for him to steal a series maybe over Ovechkin and the Capitals, Braden Holtby? 40 wins this year for Washington. I got Detroit winning the Cup. I'm cutting right to the chase.
Okay.
I'm too excited. It's playoff hockey time. I'm growing my playoff beard. I want it to last longer than 8 days like it did last year. I'm growing it out, and I hope it's burly. I hope I look like
that
Henrik
Jabba
Zetterberg.
Chamberlain thing going.
Hopefully nothing will be living in it like his. He had a lot of home runs living in there that he was giving up in the playoffs.
That's true.
Final thing we got to talk about, a disappointing season concluding for, we have a basketball team in Detroit.
Do we?
We do. 31-49. They're wrapping up their season. They're 12th in the Eastern Conference. They had a rough week last week, officially getting eliminated from playoff contention. They were on ESPN.
I saw
Twice this year. They were on Wednesday night at the Palace of Auburn Hills against the Boston Celtics. Jonas Jerebko, Luigi Ditome, former Detroit Pistons. It's where we got Tayshaun Prince back from. They dropped that one 113-103. That was Greg Monroe's first game back from injury. And then they come back Friday night against the Pacers, drop a heartbreaker, 107-103. Pacers are looking like they might sneak into the playoffs with Rodney Stuckey at point guard. How about that?
Absolutely, yeah. It was a tough season for the Pistons. I was so excited when Stan Van Gundy came in. He's a character on and off the court. He's so much fun to watch. You really get the feeling that he believes in this team. He's very passionate. I thought it was a great hire. But you get a new coach like that, someone that the guys actually respect. You got to weed out who fits in your organization, who doesn't. And it was just one of those years. Unfortunately, it didn't come up big like we wish they would have. But I do see a lot of potential in this team. I was a little surprised that they brought Tayshaun Prince back after he essentially got ran out of town for the most part, depending on what radio stations you listen to. But he came back. He seemed solid. He was happy to be here, and that's nice. It's nice to see somebody who's actually happy to be here and put on that Pistons uniform. We weren't getting that with some previous guys. I'm not going to name any names.
I will.
Okay.
Josh Smith.
Okay.
Josh Smith, they outright release him. They're paying him $16 million a year. Release him. The Pistons rattle off 9 straight wins.
That was fantastic.
Some great wins. But then they lose Brandon Jennings halfway through the season. But they trade for Reggie Jackson, who's a guy I think they're going to re-sign in the offseason and build around him and Andre Drummond. And then Greg Monroe's going to leave, maybe go to the Knicks, somewhere along those lines, where he's going to get a max contract. I saw a lot of bright things this season, including a Sunday win by 39 points, 116-77. They led the game 52-19 at one point in that game. Pistons wanted to send the hometown fans off happy, all 700 of them that came out to the Palace of Auburn Hills. But they celebrated a 116-77 win, 12th in the Eastern Conference. I saw a lot of bright things. I think the future is at least starting to spark a light. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, going back to your comment about the fans, I was at a couple of games this year, and the fans, they were behind them. I mean, you had the hardcore. I sat next to a lady, came there by herself. She gave me her story. It's just her. She's a widow. She's really excited about this team. Season ticket holder for, I think, 10, 12 years. You see a lot of the season ticket holders there. They're cheering them on every night. Granted, it's not the most packed stadium in the league, but hey, I think we have some solid fans, and I think the fans, along with myself, do believe in them. And especially, that's going to be an exciting year for draft picks, too. With that whole Kentucky team starting lineup going to the draft this year. You got Okafor from
Sam Decker. He's a hot shooter from the Wisconsin Badgers in the Big Ten Conference. It's going to be a good draft. Pistons are going to have a top 8 pick this year, is what it's looking like. And who knows, with the lottery, they could go up or down from that spot. I do see a lot of good things. Another disappointing year. It was a high and low season. But overall, it was a great season.
Yep.
And okay, I take that back. Overall, a better season.
Better
season. Hopefully next season.
Promise.
They'll keep getting better. 5-year contract for Van Gundy. He'll have 4 years left after this. That's about all the time we have right now. Be sure to join us next week for another episode of The Wrap-Up, Detroit Sports Edition. Dan Myers, sports blogger, and I'm your host, Nick Buckler. Thanks for watching.